for an introduction, food security is very essential, especially in our country, Malaysia. It is because it contains various types of important foods that we need as a food to eat in our daily life, such as rice, chicken, beef, eggs, and vegetables. In the absence of those foods, how do we want to live our lives? As food is a necessity for humans, so we need to protect it properly by maximizing the protection and security through an object called transport. To enhance food security, we need the most important element to deliver those foodstuff, which is transport to be used and undertaken. Transport plays a big and crucial role in conveying, bringing, and moving those foods to other places. We can clearly see it through the definition of transport, which can be defined as any activity that moves people and goods from one point to another point to satisfy their needs and wants. Without transport, how will the distribution of foods to the demanded places get access to it? Hence, this also proves that transport is very important for society, the market, and the economy. When it comes to food, which we have already known as our daily needs, it has become our obligation together to find a way in enhancing food security through transportation.
Automobiles are the dominant mode of transportation in rural areas. An automobile, also called motor car or car, are usually four-wheeled vehicle designed primarily for passenger transportation and commonly propelled by an internal combustion engine using a volatile fuel. According to research, just 60% of rural countries have access to public transit, and of those, 28% offer only limited service. As a result, for regular transportation needs, rural dwellers rely far more on personal vehicles like automobiles, trucks, and vans. Over 90% of passenger trips in rural areas are made in cars, while more than 80% of rural workers commute alone in a private vehicle. According to the Rural Transit Factbook, only 4% of rural households claim to have no vehicle at their disposal. You can provide more and larger vital food simultaneously using an automobile. A car, for example, has only a minor influence on the weather, including rain and wind. It is a crucial factor in maintaining food safety in rural areas, as it is not exempt from the risks of food contamination too. Automobiles is unquestionably the best option for delivering necessary commodities to rural communities.
According to the Committee on World Food Security of the United Nations, food security is the state in which all people, at all times, have physically and social and economic access to enough, safe, and nourishing food that satisfy their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. 3 states that have the potential to supply rice, chicken, and vegetables for the whole country are Sabah, Kuala Lumpur, and Pahang. Reasons in choosing the 3 states is the potential in supplying the food, the extensive road network, and the perfect spot to do business in those places based on the high demands. Besides, road infrastructure raises the level of living for people and helps make their lives easier, while also enhancing the efficiency of nations. To add more, the distribution of goods can be improved in various ways by improving the link between the warehouse and the transportation.
Singapore is known for establishing policies and making choices within a dynamic governance structure that takes long-term planning, change readiness into account. This culture of long-term planning, readiness for change, and full of global responsiveness has critical responding to the multiple problems faced by COVID-19, which includes the food security issue in Singapore. Some short-term impacts that Singapore has suffered due to food security issues are temporary lack of certain food supplies, increased competition with major global buyers, and price increases. Even worse, there are also long-term impacts such as unavailability of specific food supplies, increased competition over increasingly tight food supplies, and higher food prices. The state has been able to achieve food security by executing three basic policies made by the government. The first method to this food safety issue is by increasing the variation of import goods, mainly high-quality supply of foods from 170 other countries and regions. This approach is being done through strong trade cooperation networks to guarantee that the food supply system remains dependable and adaptable in the face of localized disruption. Besides expanding the variation of import goods, Singapore had local productions that serve as a backup source in the case of a breakdown in international supply. However, due to the limited local producers, some assistance is needed to improve their productivity, such as several funds established over the years by the government of Singapore. A 30 million Singapore dollar food fund, for example, was established in 2009 and strengthened in 2011 and 2013 to enhance food variety and production by improving local agricultural skills. In 2014, the food fund was replaced with a 63 million Singapore dollars agriculture productivity fund to encourage innovation and the use of technology. To fully support agricultural investment, the government recognized the need to alter several policies. Land tenures for agriculture, for example, have been prolonged if such land is not intended for development in order to encourage farmers to spend more. In addition, the government announced its 30 by 30 goal to increase local production to meet 30% of Singapore's nutritional needs with under 1% of its land area by 2030, which leads to establishment of Singapore Food Agency (SFA), a new agency that will focus solely on ensuring and securing supply of safe food. Through financing programs such as the 63 million Singapore dollars Agriculture Productivity Fund and the Startup SP Equity Scheme for agri-technology, the government has extensively invested in local farmers to create capacity and innovate. The last method Singapore used to approach the food security issue is overseas agriculture investment and industrial development are offered to local enterprises in order for them to export food and expand in the nation. This plan also includes efforts to supplement local production with food imports while minimizing risks to unpredictable supply networks. Because food imports are the primary method by which Singapore maintains food supply, any disruption in international commerce endangers the country's physical and economic access to food. Singapore's key import partners include Malaysia, China, Brazil, and Australia, while certain food goods are manufactured locally.
Agriculture and food are fundamental for all nations, including Malaysia. Achieving food security means ensuring that all people have access to sufficient food, can afford to buy and receive quality and nutritious food. Food security has been concern of the government, and many initiatives have been introduced as strategies to ensure that people get sufficient and healthy food. The government integrates